All right, hey, welcome back. This episode is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be stationary, but I'm going to show you how we touch up this super light finish where the somebody drilled holes through this Eames chair. Said the shock mount was here. It's going to be covering that. But what we're going to do is touch up, blend this in, and make this go away so we can get this piece done and back to the customer up in San Francisco. Now you can see as we got a little bit closer, you can see the repairs that we have done using the Mohawk epoxy. This has already been lightly sprayed with sealer. It's been sitting here a few days, but we're going to get it scuffed real quick. So I'm just using a old like 320 grit, 400 grit sanding sponge just to knock this down so that way it's nice and smooth when we start doing these repairs. That we got it, just sanded down real quick, just do a quick wipe down with a clean rag, and then what we're going to do is get everything prepared to do the touch-ups. I like using these little like 3.5 ounce souffle cups. These end up, once you open them up, become a perfect working palette, so that way you can see your color, mix it up, you get a true color because it's on a white background, and then we can start applying a light tone to start seeing where this touch-up is going to go. I'm not sure exactly how I want to do it quite yet. So I like to say that the lighter the color, the harder it is to get that to match. So dark colors, rosewood, teak, mahogany, you can mask a lot of things using that. But being that it's this light tone, we really have to do a few things to it, which sometimes we'll use a paint as a binder. So right there is a color called blonde. It's a little light. I'm not quite happy with them. I need a touch of yellow, which we have here. So I'm going to kind of come over and just see. I'm just going to put just a little bit on here and see. I'm not opposed to that. Like I said, you want to start lighter, and this definitely is lighter. It's very similar to the light tones that you see inside of the wood. Sometimes we actually have to add, like I mentioned, a little bit of white paint. And that white paint will lighten it up too, just a little bit. But as I said, I think this is definitely a good starting color. And we're going to kind of work our way up from here. Right, now that I took a step back, I'm going to use a little bit of this, I think it's the champagne frost. I'm going to see, it adds a little bit of white to it. Let's see what this does. See if it lightens it up a little bit. So we're missing a touch of white. So it's hard to tell maybe in the camera, but in person I go it's on the peach side. So we're trying to add a little lightness to it, which that looks like it just did. As I said, I'm not trying to make it heavy. I'm just feathering in all these different colors because we're going to try to blend in and tie it in with the grain. And you're going to see, so we're trying to keep the touch-up as small as possible right now, but then we'll come back in with a different brush and we're going to feather it to start kind of tying in this darker grain structure to blend it in. This one here is going to be a little bit more difficult because you can see it's in the lighter section, but it still has a little bit of a darkness here that we can kind of play with to bring this back to life. I'm going to clean the brush off real quick. And then I'm trying to think what color I need to seal it a little bit to give me a little, so here's the blonde. So I think that blonde is where we want to be. So I just missed a little bit on that area just to kind of seal it in. I have my little natural pine as well. It's a good starting point. And luckily too, we did strip these down. If you guys remember seeing them inside of the vlog videos, that we did strip this down, sanded it, got it back to raw wood completely, which means this color was now it's about a shade light, meaning we could touch it up to this tone, then tone the entire piece just one more shade, darken it up and match it back to the way it was originally, and that'll help tie in any of the little repairs inside of this section. So we'll see how this dries and come back in a second. So now that we've seen it closely, we're going to actually have to do two different types of touch-up. This one here in the middle is a little bit lighter. This one here is right in the middle of the grain structure, so we can get away with maybe going a shade darker. Once again, work a little bit of these solvents. And as I said, I'm just going to keep kind of inching back to the piece. And so it's a little brown, but maybe that touch of brown is all we need, with a little bit of the yellow and a little bit of the blonde. So I'm going to thin it down just a little bit. So let's see, put a little bit of the blonde in here too. See if that lightens it up just a little bit. Then so I'm going to dry off the brush a little bit, off on the rag or on my glove, and just kind of start bringing out a little bit of grain in this section. So we're still, I said, at this point we're trying to keep this small. And so it's slow moving when it comes to these kind of repairs. So I'm good with that. I don't want to add much more to it. Then this one here, the color I just had was, see, a little too dark. So now we got to go back to the drawing board. We'll start with a lighter color, thin it out, and go with a little bit more of the blonde. And kind of do the same thing. I'm going to just start. You could do different types of techniques too. I could do a little bit of dabbing to it to keep from the brush strokes from happening, and you can kind of play with it with the grain structure around it. And just starting to look a little bit better. And unfortunately for me, you had seen too, this section right here was a blowout. Probably when they drilled through it, they blew out the veneer and damaged it. So meaning my little half-inch hole that they did now turned into about a 2-inch repair. Makes it a lot more difficult on our end to mask these kind of damages. So I like that light color, so I'm just going to tie a little bit in. You see longer strokes too. So tying it in with that grain structure. Because that's what we're trying to do, is we're just trying to blend it in with what's already there. You can see it's like I don't even have much even on the brush at this point. We're just kind of adding a little bit of texture. So we'll let that sit for a second. I like that. So dab this off a little bit. So this other one here is white, so it's a little too white. I'm trying not to use this color quite yet. I'm going to wait. This is a little bit of a darker yellow, which will be more what it was originally. So I'll just do this. I'll just kind of seal this in for a second. We'll come back in a few minutes and kind of see where we stand. Okay, so we let that dry for a few. I'm going to take a little bit of my sanding sponge. As you can see, like a little bit of that toner has lightened it up. You still see a little bit of the shadowing though from the from those repairs. So like I said, we're still not there yet. The one I'm closer with being happy. The bigger one is definitely, like I said, it's definitely a tough repair. Where part of me is kind of questioning if I tape it up and add a little bit of the blonde, because like I said, I like to tell people it's sometimes good to come in here and start lighter, and then I mean really light. Start with a white base and then work your way back up using the different colors in the toolkit and all the toners, because trying to mask light colors is very difficult. Like I said, it even throws us off here as well. So you see, I'm kind of just blocking so I don't get a bunch of color here, and I'm trying to see if I can slowly lighten up right here in the middle, which we've done pretty good. So we're gonna maybe let this dry just for a few minutes, and then I can come back, sand it again, add a little bit of toner, add a little bit of grain structure, and we might be good. I don't know how it comes out in person, but it also is how you look at it in different lighting. So like right here, direct light, we're close. You come out of the camera, it's a little bit dark, a little bit darker on this one. So we're gonna have to play with this, you know, little by little to get it right. Okay, let that dry up for just a minute. What I'm gonna do too is sand a little bit around the perimeter where I don't want any of that overspray. Keep that color directly in the middle. And I think we're gonna be right on now. Now I can just add a little bit of pigment back down, you know, add a little bit of that grain structure, and we should be pretty darn good. So within reason that we can now move on to the next step of toning the whole piece. So this is doing these light colors is not for your average refinisher. So I'm here to try to help make it easier, things I've learned over the years, but this is not just a quick, you know, hey, let's throw a little bit of color on it kind of touch up. That's why this guy had this sent all the way down from San Francisco to have us do the work on it. So now here in the video you could see it really pronounced. It's the lighting, it's the camera, it's picking it up. But in person it's like right where I want it to be, that I could add a little bit of the color now. So we'll go back to the drawing board here. Then I'm going to use a different brush for this one. This one will be a little bit easier for feathering. And then from here, now it's just trying to figure out, okay, what type of brown do I need? As I said, we don't want much. I could just, I said that even may be a little too much. We could add a little yellow. And I said this is the hardest part now, is what level of brown do we want to do? So the same thing is follow the grain structure a little bit. And so it makes it hard when you have, I said, when you have that. You know, another thing I'm just thinking about too, glaze might work well here too. In some instances, depending on the color glazes that you have in your shop. But if you had a little bit of like the furniture glazes, you could play with that. Basically do the same thing that I'm doing now, but using something that's slightly removable. You could play with it a little bit in the coloring of it. I said this is, this can intimidate some refinishers because like I said, it's such a large piece. Sorry, I had to leave the camera for a second. I thought my truck was getting totaled again by the neighbor's forklift. If you all remember that story where they totaled my last vehicle last year. And I just heard loud noises outside because they are moving now. So yeah, I said that was not a good sound. I heard metal scraping, but who knows what it was. It wasn't my truck, so that's all that matters. There we go. I said now we're playing with this texture, a little bit of the grain structure. I said I like that. I said we're on the right path now. Beautiful. So go back again, take my sponge, just to lightly scuff it. I said, you notice we are layering over and over again. We're not just trying to do it all in one pass. Now I'm going to use that little darker color called light golden or light walnut, and this is just what's going to add a little yellow to it. And I'm using the blue can on this one. The blue can will actually kind of be a little bit more opaque and add a little bit of it'll mask it a little bit. Maybe it's the best way to say it. So we're getting close now. So now it's just a matter of just playing a little bit with this. Maybe I'll add a little bit more grain, maybe just up through this section here, but I think we're getting close. Okay, I'm just going to play with this toner here just a little bit. Feather this in. Go back with this one. Just try to even it out. And I think in the spray gun, I'm going to have to add just a little bit of a brown. But I may do that with the toner cans as well. But I'll take the whole brown and just darken the whole thing up. Just one shade, because I think that's what it was when it came in. But already now you can see that the two holes are no longer visible. Now all we're doing is trying to play with this touch up, trying to mask it and mute it as best as we can. All right, we let this dry overnight. I'm just going to scuff it real quick because we sealed it. And as you can tell, we have a little movement back in the camera. Ivan is back. He had to leave early yesterday. So we got a little movement. We get you a little closer to this repair. So what it is, now it's going to be a little bit more difficult. I'm going to grab my phone. I'm going to show you something real quick. All right, I got the email from the customer last night. Since we don't have the chair, he sent me this, and I have to now match this top with the base of the chair, which makes it very difficult. But what I could tell, just I've been doing this enough years, that this is just missing a little bit of that brown, that kind of dirtiness from sitting in it, just a little bit of age, which is going to be a little bit harder to fake here on the on the piece. But so we're going to attempt it, I think, using maybe a little bit of a perfect brown or a like a Van Dyke walnut or universal walnut, which is like a brown/brown green tone. So that's what I think we're going to do. We're going to do. Once again, we're going to make sure the tip is pointed near that little black dot. And so we're going to play with a little bit of this brown. You can kind of get away with it in a sense of it. If it's a little blotchy or a little uneven, I think that will be fine. It'll add a little bit of the character to this chair, which is what happens over time. Is like it doesn't get dirty all around. It gets dirty in the center, as I could see in that picture. So I spit out right there a little bit. Watch out for those little, like the little boogers. Okay, I think we just about got this. Let me grab the picture. So I kind of use my picture as a sample and imagine it sitting on that chair. So I said we're right there. So what we're trying to do is get it to that muted color. And so you could tell how much color we did shoot, because here's the backside. This has also been stripped and sanded, and it'll be the next thing that I do, a little toner work on the backside. But I'm really happy with this. We're going to throw it in the spray booth and put a bunch of, like probably 3 or 4 coats of sealer, seal it all in. We'll let it dry. We'll sand it this afternoon and hopefully get a final coat on it. If you want more of these pro tips, tricks, and techniques, you could join one of my 2 private communities. We have a free, which has a lot of basic in the Refinishers Roadmap series. And then we have the Advanced Masterclass series, where I teach longer videos just like this on stripping, sanding, repairs, spraying, all of the above. We have a bunch of videos that we're producing every single day here in the shop. So I said, click down below, join, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you guys in the next video.